You are watching No Filter with Debbie. These are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and you know what's driving me crazy? These Democrats and the impeachment, they have nothing but to whine and moan and complain about Trump, who is not the president anymore. And yet, that's all they got. They don't have anything new. They don't have anything to help you. They don't care about you. And that's why today they filed lawsuits against President Trump with regard to the January, I wanted to say October, January 6th riots on the Capitol. Wasn't this already litigated over and over again? Wasn't there an impeachment trial that we just finished on Saturday? Was that not the investigation? Wasn't there after that on Monday a declaration by Nancy Pelosi? I like to call her Pelosic surgery, but anyway, Nancy Pelosi and her ilk that they were going to set up a 9/11 style commission to look into the riots and who was behind them? I guess they already have the answer because Congressman Benny Thompson, the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, he sued the president. He and also the NAACP filed its own suit. What this has to do with the NAACP, I don't know, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Both of these lawsuits will eventually be thrown out. It depends what kind of judge. If there is a liberal judge, an Obama appointee, a Clinton appointee, somebody like that, it's going to take a while, but these suits will be thrown out. First of all, there's no standing. Plus, they have no proof that President Trump did any of this. All they have proof of is that he said, fight like hell, you have to take your country back, which is said, as his impeachment lawyers showed everybody, it's said by many, many Democrats, it's said by many people on the campaign trail, at rallies, and so on. That's politics. It's also something else that this country was founded and based on and is nothing without the First Amendment. So this whole lawsuit is absurd. Both these lawsuits, there are two of them. Rudy Giuliani is being sued as well. This is going to go nowhere. But you know what the idea is? The idea is to hassle Donald Trump, now that he's no longer president, to force him to go through discovery, which means depositions and turning over documents and answering questions under oath. They want to hassle him, make him pay for having been a conservative president for 4 years. That's what they want him to pay for. They want him to pay for having won. This is just getting ridiculous. Move on. If you have such great alternatives, if you are leadership, if you are the leaders, if you have programs to save Americans from the economic doom that you've put them all in by making them stay home and shutting down their businesses and limiting capacity at those businesses, if you have a solution, why aren't you bringing it forward? Because you don't have one. Their solution, ladies and gentlemen, is to sue Donald Trump. And the NAACP, what does this have to do with black people? There were black people at those Capitol riots. They don't show you many of them because they want you to think this was only neo Nazis. And there were plenty of them. I'm not going to lie. We're fair on this show and we're honest. And the fact is, there were plenty of neo Nazis there. We saw them, we saw their t shirts, we saw what they were doing. But there were black people there. There was a black Antifa guy. We showed you. His name is John Sullivan. We showed you his video. He has been charged in federal court. So why is the NAACP suing? And this guy from the House Homeland Security Committee, come on, you had your chance. The House brought an impeachment. They represented you, Benny Thompson. Enough is enough. Move the country forward. And by the way, Joe Biden is nowhere to be heard on this issue. Joe Biden, who told us all he wants unity, he wants to unify the country. He doesn't want this to be about red states versus blue states, red voters versus blue voters. He doesn't want this to be an ideologically divided country. Well, take the first step, Joe Biden, to unifying the country. Tell them to drop their suits. Give them a phone call, the same phone call that you had your cronies make to all of your primary opponents when you were going to lose to Bernie Sanders because they would have split the vote enough that he would have won. Make one of those kinds of phone calls, breathe down their necks, but you won't do it. Joe Biden will not do that because he is not interested in unifying the country. He's not interested in healing anything. What he's interested in is tearing off Band-Aids and taking the scab ripped off with it and having America bleed again. That's what he wants. He wants to cause civil war because they know that the civil war is mostly going to be in the Republican Party. And that is the other point of this lawsuit. It is to further the civil war in the Republican Party. It's to take away strength from Donald Trump, to keep him from campaigning, keep him from raising funds, to find out how much he's raising, to find out what he's doing. This is an intelligence gathering operation. You can ask a lot of information. You can get a lot of information through discovery. That's part of what this is about. But it's ridiculous, it's absurd, and it cannot stand. But if it can, where are all the lawsuits against Kamala Harris and Joe Biden? Let them get going. Let's sue Nancy Pelosi. Let's sue Jamie Raskin and all these House impeachment managers for lying and manufacturing evidence. These people don't have standing. In order to have standing, you have to show that you are part of the class that's being affected or that you have been harmed by whatever the person you're accusing of doing something, by what he's done or she has done. You have to prove that you were harmed, you were damaged. They can't prove that. Nothing happened to Benny Thompson. Nothing happened to the NAACP. If anything, both of those parties have been able to raise oodles and oodles of money off of this. So they have benefited. And I hope that the Trump and Giuliani lawyers respond with that information. Listen, I have said on this show that I think President Trump made some mistakes on that day. I think he should have gotten on TV live much sooner and told people to leave. I don't think he should have told them, we love you, you're fine people, or whatever he said. He didn't say fine people, he said you're special. Shouldn't have said that. I think he should have made sure that immediately the National Guard was out there mobilizing. He should have done these things. Now, he still would have been criticized. He still would have been impeached. All of these things still would have happened because their whole impeachment was nothing about that. It was all about what I've just said. They want to split America. They want to split the Republican Party. And then they want to swoop in and seize even more power than they already have. It's got to end. Move on. Enough is enough. All right, so there's that. Now, also going on today, and we're getting close to the break, is The Bachelor. So the host of The Bachelor, Chris Harrison, he's going to be dumped from that show. He's already stepped down for so-called racism, which isn't, because we'll tell you about it after the break. But he's going to be asked to step down completely. He's not going to be on the final rose ceremony. God, I feel bad even saying the final rose ceremony, that phrase. That show is vapid. It is basically a concubine fest. It's a joke. It's boring. I don't care about anybody on it. I don't watch it. And neither do more and more Americans, as is evidenced by the ratings. But now they've done something that I think is not by accident. This is designed in part to gin up ratings in the name of so-called racism, social justice warriorship, and wokeness. And it's all a fraud and a lie, and it's just going too far. And we will tell you more about it after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Did you know the Foundation for Rural Service awards scholarships for rural students? The scholarships range from $2,500 to $7,000. Go to www.frs.org for information and applications.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we started this story about Chris Harrison, the host of The Bachelor. Now, I hate talking about this show. I cringe talking about this show because it means I actually even have to occupy some of my brain cells thinking about this show. And I really do that with all protest due, and much is due. Reality TV, which we know is not reality, it's highly scripted, is garbage. I don't care about these people. They're vapid. Most of them are lowlifes. Sorry, but they are. And don't tell me don't judge. You know what the problem with America is? We don't judge enough. And we tell everybody with any kind of morals, don't judge, don't judge. You know what? If you tell people don't judge, you're a fraud, because everybody judges every single second of their life. When you walk out the door, you judge. You see somebody, you judge them. You're telling me you don't? You're lying to me. We all judge, and some judging is important. And judging on the basis of morality is important, and we've lost that in America. Because anytime you judge somebody, you're called a shamer. There's fat shaming, which, I'm sorry, it's not good to be obese. There's slut shaming, because apparently it's good to be a slut. And to say it's bad, you're the bad guy for saying that, even though we know that rampant sexuality and sluts are basically the people who've brought down America. The feminists and the radical 60s, they brought forth the sexual revolution, and that led to the breakdown of the American family. And nobody was harder hit in that regard than minorities. Look at the black family. There isn't one anymore for the most part. And the American general population and whites in America are following through. And we know that without a nuclear family, there is really a degradation of everything in America. People who have sex at an early age are more likely to do drugs, more likely to fail out of school, and less likely to graduate college or even attend college in the first place. They're more likely to be unemployed, more likely to earn less for a living, more likely to get involved in all kinds of crime. In other words, more likely to be losers and the dregs of society. So here we have this show, The Bachelor. Now, what does that have to do with what I just said? A lot, because it's basically a concubine show for less talented people who really want to be in showbiz. The girls that go on the show, the women, they're really infantilized women. And the boys that go on the show parading as men, they're really infantilized men. They are people who desperately want fame. They wish they could be actors or actresses in Hollywood, but they haven't made it, and they think this is their ticket to it. And for some, it's worked. A lot of these people have gotten gigs hosting shows on other channels like HGTV and A&E and other channels. They've gotten all kinds of gigs out of this. So everybody goes on this show wanting to be famous. They're fame whores, let's be honest. I know it's an indelicate term, but they are fame whores. So the people who go on this show go on to be famous. The only person who's legit on this show is Chris Harrison, but he's not so legit because he's the host of a concubine show. That's what it's all about. These bachelors sleep with all these women and they try them out, they test drive them. These bachelorettes do the same thing with the men. It's a slut show, it's a slut fest, and I'm sorry, but I'm not slut shaming. Sluts deserve to be shamed. They spread diseases, they have kids out of wedlock, all of these kinds of things that aren't good for America. All right? They just aren't. You know what? The lower marriage rate in America, that ain't good for America either. And stuff like this is what leads to that lower marriage rate. All right? Now, if I sound like I'm from the 50s, so sad, too bad, stop saying your old refrain. You know what? The 50s were underrated, and nobody wants to return to them anyway. Yes, I am a child of the 70s and 80s when America was a different place. It was a quieter place. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have this crummy reality TV. But we have a lot of things now that are better. We have a lot of things that are worse. And some of those worst things, like this show, bring out the worst in society. They also, I think, are a microcosm of everything that's going on in America. And one of the things that we've been pointing out since the beginning of this show that's going on in America is the oversensitivity of it, where every time somebody gets a paper cut, it's racism, racism, racism. You should be fired. You should be canceled. You're a racist. You're a racist. That's what's going on now. So Chris Harrison, the only adult in the room, but yet he also has compromised himself because he hosts this show for a big paycheck, even though he knows this show is a low-life piece of crap. He hosts the show. It's been on for many seasons. I know it's a big success, blah, blah, blah. Although, is it racist to point out that there's a black bachelor and they have the lowest ratings in history? Does that have anything to do with race? Am I racist for pointing that out? No, I'm not. Just making an observation. But I'll tell you what else is going on. Because the ratings are so low, they've ginned up this story. So there's this woman, Rachel. Rachel was the bachelorette. She picked a guy, she married him, and now, as I said, all these people are fame whores. They want to turn this into a showbiz career. Now she is a correspondent on the show Extra. You know, the one that goes extra, extra, extra. She's a correspondent on that show. And she interviewed Chris Harrison. Why? Because there's a contestant on the show named Rachel Kirkconnell. She's probably going to be picked by the Black Bachelor to be his person that he's engaged to for 2 seconds, and then they split up 2 seconds later. So that's a picture of her wearing a gown. And that apparently now is an example of racism. Yeah, you could see the other girls' faces are marked out. Where is she wearing this gown? Well, we'll show you the larger picture of all these women wearing these gowns. There she is with the red arrow. This is at an antebellum party, a pre-war, I believe it's a sorority sister party, where they're all wearing gowns from before the Civil War. And apparently, if you use the word antebellum, you do anything from about before the Civil War, anything about Southern heritage, you're a racist, racist, racist. And you need to be canceled forever. Now, did she call somebody black the N-word? Did she say anything about blacks that was derogatory? Heck no. She's dating euphemism for basically sleeping with among all the other girls in the house of the Bachelor show. She's sleeping with this black guy, or she will be soon. We know that that's what's happening on this show. They always sleep with the Bachelor. He test drives them. And the fact is, she's not racist. If she's racist, she would leave this show. But she's racist for that. Oh, and also, she sent out some tweets. What happened in this interview? Chris Harrison told this woman, Rachel, who used to be a lawyer, who is now the correspondent for Extra, and who was the first black bachelorette, that this woman, Rachel Kirkconnell, and all the uproar over her being racist because she wore some ball gowns, that because of that he finds it disgusting that all these people are calling her a racist. He said that it's the woke culture and that it's ridiculous, they've gone overboard, and that it's political correctness. So because he did that, he's racist now too. Yes, he didn't use the N-word either. He's never said anything against black people, but because he told this black former bachelorette who just wanted to be famous that this woman is a victim of the woke culture and it's not right, and how she's been bullied, now he's a racist and she's calling for his head. She's also upset that there have only been 3 minority bachelor and bachelorettes, which, again, look at the ratings. And she wants him canceled, and so do a lot of these pop culture figures and opinion leaders in social media in Black America. They want Chris Harrison canceled because he's a racist, because he defended somebody for wearing a gown. Yes, this is where we're at in America. And it's only gonna get worse. All right, when we get back, by the way, one other thing. This is meant to gin up the ratings. I would not be surprised if this whole thing was manufactured because the ratings are so bad and they want some controversy so people will watch and see if the racist for wearing a gown gets picked by the Black Bachelor. Just watch me. We're going to find that out. When we come back, something more important. We talked about how it's freezing in Texas. They rely on wind turbines for half of their energy, and now they're freezing in without power. Well, guess what? Stuff like that is happening in North Dakota, but it's not the same situation. We'll talk about the absurd things you're being asked to do to keep electricity and heat. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Beck Communications is hiring. Beck Communications is seeking qualified candidates for plant technicians in our Wheatland, North Dakota location. Beck Communications is an equal opportunity employer. To view the job details, visit www.beck.coop. To apply, email your cover letter and resume to careers@bechtel.coop. Beck Communications, making connections that matter.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here. all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community first-oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
If you're a Beck Fiber customer or the dependent of a Beck Fiber customer, you might qualify for scholarships. Beck awards scholarships to seniors headed to college or to students attending University of Mary. Go to www.beck.co for eligibility guidelines and applications.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Did you know the Foundation for Rural Service awards scholarships for rural students? The scholarships range from $2,500 to $7,000. Go to www.frs.org for information and applications.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie. Yesterday's show, we told you about the wind turbines in Texas. Unfortunately, the Texas government decided that they were going to donate, or not donate, because it's very, very expensive. They were going to dedicate half of their power to alternative energy sources, wind turbines and other things, solar panels, you know, the things that they're asking everyone who works on an oil pipeline who's lost their job to start making. Let them, it's the new let them eat cake. Let them make solar panels. So Texas did this, and because of that, they have a lot of blackouts, a lot of people without power. They have record freezing temperatures with the wind chill or real feel. It feels like 20 below in many parts of Texas, and people are freezing. They have no power. They have no heat because the wind turbines froze. All right. Now, that's not to say I want to be fair to the wind turbine industry. They do advertise on this show, and we'll talk about the ones in North Dakota. But the wind turbines froze shut. Now, some of the other energy sources, some of the traditional sources, they also got frozen, but they didn't freeze just shut down. They're still operating, but just not at complete capacity, which is better than completely freezing, which happened to half of Texas's wind turbines. So now we have a similar dynamic in North Dakota, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, I want you to take a look at a tweet that Ted Cruz, the Texas U.S. Senator, sent a while back about California, because California did first what Texas did. So look at this. California is now unable to perform even basic functions of civilization, like having reliable electricity. Biden here as AOC want to make California's failed energy policy the standard nationwide. Hope you don't like air conditioning. Yeah, hope you don't. And that was from August. So look what Governor Newsom told people to do. And then we'll show you what North Dakota is being asked to do, which is very similar. We must do our part to conserve energy through 10 p.m., turn off unnecessary lights, avoid using major appliances, set the thermostat to 78 or higher. 78 in August, which is the dregs of summer. It is the dog days of summer. It's when it's very, very hot and humid. And yes, I know California, it's a dry heat, please. Dry heat, when it's that hot, there ain't nothing that's dry. Everybody's sweating, and there is some humidity. There's moisture there. I'm just saying, all right? Anyway, so that was Texas. And by the way, Texas, their industry of solar energy and wind turbines is not free. Not that any energy source is free. They all have costs and drawbacks. But when I say free, here's what I mean. It's not on the free market. In fact, taxpayers, including you in North Dakota and everybody anywhere else, has subsidized their wind turbine industry. That's why there is a wind turbine industry and a solar panel industry. That's why there are those industries, because they've been heavily subsidized by the American taxpayer. Otherwise, they would not exist. They cannot support themselves. They're unsustainable. I mean, even Tesla cars, which are electric, they're not sustainable. The only profits they make are because they're selling carbon credits. That's what happens when you have these kinds of companies. So in North Dakota, we have something similar. Now, we have wind turbines that advertise on this show, the wind turbine industry in North Dakota. And I'm all for that. Here's what I believe in. I believe in the free market. And the more energy sources you have, the more competition there is. And that's great for the consumer because then they're all competing against each other. The price comes down and you have lots of choices at a more economical rate. That's great. But there have to be all those sources. We can't shift everything over to wind or to solar or to anything else. We can't get completely off fossil fuels. First of all, that would kill North Dakota. That's our industry. And secondly, we just can't do it. America does not have the infrastructure, and it won't for decades. As I've said on this show many times, you're going to plug in your car overnight. If everybody in America does that, guess what? All these lights are going to turn off. We are going to be finished. I would press the switch so you could see what it would look like, but then we'll be off the air, and I can't do that. So that's what would happen, and you don't want that. But right now, that's basically happening right now because even though North Dakota is on a different electrical grid than Texas, we are on the same grid as other states that have invested heavily in solar and wind turbine energy. And because of that, their sources of energy have frozen up. We're all on the same grid. More people are using the traditional sources because those are the ones that are more reliable. So now everybody's having a shortage. And here's what they're asking North Dakotans to do. This is absurd. I want you to look at this graphic that we prepared. So they want you to turn down your thermostat as low as tolerable, 65 degrees or lower if possible. All right, 65 is not so bad, but when it's negative whatever degrees outside, let's say negative 20 with the wind chill, 65 feels really low. It feels a heck of a lot like 50. You don't want to be sleeping in that. Turn off electric heat in your garage or shop if you can. Do not turn off if there are water lines present. All right, most people don't have electric heat in their garage or shop. Turn things off. Make sure lights are turned off when leaving a room. Only use when needed. Switch off televisions, computers, video game consoles, and cable boxes when not in use. Yes, that wastes energy, but that's a lot of work. You're going to go through your house every night or every hour and turn off things that are not in use. That's a hassle. It's a lot of work. Maybe you don't have time. People are busy. Don't run appliances such as dishwashers and clothes washers, dryers. Clothes dryers are one of the biggest energy users in the home. Really? So we can't do laundry or wash dishes? Come on. This ain't the third world where people don't have the appliances to do that. We're supposed to be the first world. You should be able to do those things and be clean. Turn down the temperature on your electric hot water heater. So you're going to take a freezing shower in your real feel 50 degree temperature when you've turned it down to 65 in negative 20 at night. All right, use alternative heating fuels such as wood fireplaces. Should consider using them to reduce electric or natural gas heating. So yeah, everybody has a fireplace in their house? No. Many people don't have fireplaces anymore. This is not the log cabin days. Open curtains to let in sunlight during the day. No, when you open curtains, that lets the cold air come in. All right? So it may let in sunlight, but it also makes you colder. When you have your curtains closed, that keeps you warmer in many cases. Set ceiling fans to turn clockwise to push warm air down. So you got to turn on your fan now? Also, you already got 65 degrees, which is real feel 55. You got to take that freezing cold shower. And now you got to turn the fan on? Brr. Cold, just thinking about it. Use low temperature cooking methods. And if using the oven, only open the door when necessary. Low temperature cooking methods? So you're going to eat raw eggs or something? Or you're going to take 5 times as long to make them on a medium heat or a low heat? Come on. We're not living in the third world. People should not have to sacrifice to have enough energy. That's what we have to do now because some states went half or more or a very high percentage to alternative sources of energy. And guess what? They ain't reliable. All right. When we come back, what is Fauciing? Ugh. You'll find out after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy, folks. It's the County Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-busting breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Did you know the Foundation for Rural Service awards scholarships for rural students? The scholarships range from $2,500 to $7,000. Go to www.frs.org for information and applications. If you're a Beck Fiber customer or the dependent of a Beck Fiber customer, you might qualify for scholarships. Beck awards scholarships to seniors headed to college or to students attending University of Mary. Go to www.beck.coop for eligibility guidelines and applications.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So Anthony Fauci, yes, him, Anthony Fauci, who heads up Joe Biden's COVID committee, White House COVID commission, whatever you want to call it. He is an egomaniac. He loves being on TV. He loves all of the accoutrements that have come with him being famous. He's been parodied on SNL, but not a bad parody like they do to conservatives and Republicans. It was a very charitable parody in which he was played by Brad Pitt, who he said he wanted to play him. He got to throw out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game. He's been feted by all the mainstream liberal media. He's now one of the most admired men. He's got bobbleheads, everything. He's got the full court press. He loves being a celebrity. And you got to watch this latest video because there's now a new term called Fauciing. And I don't want to tell you what it's about. We'll let the video do the talking. It's just, ugh, ew, watch.
There's actually a term in dating now called Fauciing someone. Do you know what that means?
No, what does it mean?
It means cutting off a relationship if you don't think that that other person is serious enough about social distancing and taking the pandemic seriously. Like how I Fauci'd that guy.
I'm going to Fauci you.
You're so funny. He loves this stuff. He just loves it. He is egomaniacal. And if you don't think so, you've been living on another planet the last several months. This guy loves everything that's going on here. It's all about him. And he would love for this to keep going. This is why he's telling people, even if you get vaccinated, you still got a social distance. You still should stay home. You should wear 5 million masks, one on top of the other. This is why he's doing this. He wants to hold on to this. He is not going to let this go. He loves being a celebrity. And when he becomes a has-been celebrity like Kato Kaelin, it ain't going to be good. So I would love to Fauci him. Goodbye. I just wish we never had to see him again. All right, so there's that. Now, North Dakota was put on this list. The Human Rights Campaign, which you see the equal sign, Human Rights Campaign is not about human rights. It's about gay rights. They call it just human rights because it's a nicer way of couching it. It's propaganda. It's not about human rights. It's about gay rights. And listen, I am for equality. I don't think we should persecute gay people. Nobody's for that. Very few people anyway, just a small group of extremists. I believe in live and let live. You want to do what you want to do behind closed doors? Fine, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. It's none of my business. I don't want to be involved. But I definitely don't want to be involved. But I don't want to know about it either, and I don't want it in my face. And most people don't want it in their face. They also don't want it to be forced upon their church or their synagogue or their religious school. And by the way, you know who's the most vehement that they don't want it forced upon them? Muslims, their mosques. But none of the gays ever go against them. They never say, oh, these mosques are extremists. They only go against the churches for the most part and some synagogues. So they call themselves the Human Rights Campaign. They rated all the states, and they just released their list recently. And they said that North Dakota is the lowest inequality. Well, guess what? They never really said that. That's how the mainstream liberal media in North Dakota put it out there. In fact, 25 states tied North Dakota. 25. That's half the country. 25 states, half the country is the lowest for equal rights. And let me just tell you how they come to this conclusion. Here's what they say, and we have a graphic that we made for this. They said the state does not support hate crimes. What do they mean by that? The state does not have a law that addresses hate bias crimes based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Here's the thing. You beat up somebody in North Dakota because they're gay, you're going to get prosecuted. The reason is not going to matter. It's that you assaulted somebody and hurt them. So we don't need special laws ascribing hate or motive to people. This is basically overdoing it. We don't need that. It doesn't mean we're not for equality. Public accommodations. State does not prohibit discrimination in public accommodations based on sexual orientation and gender identity. You know why that is? Because parents don't want men coming into their daughters' locker rooms watching them change. We know that the threat is not people who are gay or who are trans. The threat is people pretending they are, and they will have every right to come into a locker room. Nobody wants that. We don't want peeping Toms and people leering at our daughters and our sons, by the way. School anti-bullying. State does not have a law that addresses harassment and or bullying of students based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Well, why? Because that's called free speech. The state doesn't have any anti-bullying laws, and they've tried to pass them. But the reason they don't is because it's about First Amendment rights. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled that students don't have First Amendment rights completely, and schools have the right to regulate and restrict the clothing students wear and other things. But still, what's bullying? If I say a comment to somebody, does that mean that I should get kicked out of school? I should be prosecuted? It's over the top. It's not needed. Education. State does not have a law that addresses discrimination against students based on sexual orientation and gender identity in schools. Well, you know what that would mean? That would mean that Representative Ben Koppelman, whose bill we discussed with him on this show, and by the way, which passed the North Dakota House and probably will end up becoming law, is not going to be law because it would conflict with what they want. They want trans to be able to compete against girls, trans males, and to beat them. And we showed you video of that. That's what they want. We don't want that. It's not fair. It's not fair, it's not right, and it's humiliating. Transgender health care. State has neither a ban on insurance exclusions for transgender health care, nor does it provide transgender inclusive health benefits to state employees. You know what that means? They want you and your insurance companies to pay for trans operations, for gender identity operations, to cut off genitals and put some of them on. They want you to pay for that. You know how high insurance is going to go? It's going to go high. And they want you to pay for that for state employees. Anti-conversion therapy. This state has no restrictions on so-called conversion therapy. Now, you know what? Conversion therapy, maybe it doesn't work, where they say that people are born this way from birth and you cannot change it. It's not a preference. And some parents have taken their kids to therapy to get the gay out of them or whatever. I think that's a parent's right. If a parent wants to do that, that's their right. And if somebody wants to have that as a business, I don't think it will work. I think it's snake oil. But you know what? That's a First Amendment right. I believe in the free market. I don't believe in restricting things. They only believe in the free market when it comes to you paying for their gender assignments, reassignment surgery. No. So that's why North Dakota is the lowest inequality. Please. We are not the lowest. We are inequality. And let me tell you what North Dakota does. North Dakota supports laws that prohibit and has laws that prohibit housing discrimination based on sexual orientation, but not gender identity. There are gender marker updates on identification documents, which I don't think should happen, because when you get gender reassignment surgery, you're still a male or a female. You are still what you were born with at birth. Your DNA and your chromosomes have not been changed, but North Dakota changes that. North Dakota also prohibits employment discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. North Dakota supports marriage equality and other relationship recognition. It issues marriage licenses to same-sex couples, which it has to do because the U.S. Supreme Court said so. So North Dakota has plenty of equality. This is just funk. It's baloney. It's about agendas being pushed down your throat. And I'm glad North Dakota doesn't do it and doesn't make you pay for it. All right, when we come back, there is more that we talked about, was going to be on today's show, and you got to know about it. Kamala Harris's niece, she's doing a lot of prostituting, and we'll tell you how. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
There's nothing more important than family. And at Prairie Rose Family Dentists, we get it. That's why we have more locations, more dentists, specialists, extended hours, pediatric clinics, and even emergency appointments, so you can always be seen. Book your appointment today at prairierosedentist.com. Prairie Rose Family Dentists. We are family.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel, from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
The experienced professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless, and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best built, best backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, I promoted this, that Kamala Harris's niece is prostituting herself. She's really not. She's pimping her aunt, our vice president, unfortunately, Kamala Harris. So, and Kamala Harris has given full approval to this, although the Biden White House has chastised Mina Harris, Kamala Harris's niece, to stop doing this because now all the money has already been put in her bank account. She's made millions off of this. Let me tell you what Kamala Harris's niece has done. So she's branded her aunt by doing the following. She has a kid's book. All right, the kid's book is Kamala and Maya's Big Idea. There's that. It became a New York Times bestseller. And she just put out a second book called Ambitious Girl. She put up videos that had 10 million views. She makes money off of that. She has a sweatshirt. I want to show you what's on the sweatshirt. Vice President Auntie, or as she would say it, Auntie. All right, there's that. And then she also has, this is the cheesiest thing I think I've ever seen out of this whole thing. She has a Beats by Dr. Dre set of headphones with the slogan, the first but not the last. All right, does anybody really believe this phony story? It just reeks of phoniness. From Kamala Harris saying, my mother often told me, you know, Kamala, you're going to be the first to do many things. Just make sure you're not the last. Please. Her mother never said that. She's making it up. It makes her sound all high-flown. She has a noble purpose. She's not selfish. Instead of a woman that slept her way to the top with married men like Willie Brown to get where she is, she's just a noble person that wanted to make sure she wasn't the first woman or the first black woman or the first black Indian or whatever it is that she is to make it to the top. She's helping other women. Please, Louise. That never happened. Her mother never said that. She's not so high flown. In fact, she's just a pretty selfish, wicked person. And her laugh says it all. Oh my God. I could laugh forever watching that. All right. Who says white women can't dance and black women can? I don't know. That wasn't a very good example. All right. So there's that. She's selling all this stuff. The White House has told her to stop, but it was kind of like a nod and a wink. It was like, oh, don't do this. It wasn't a don't do this or else. She's still going to do it. And Kamala is all in. All right, so speaking of Kamala, Vice President, as I told you before the election, she's really going to be the president. She's the one running the show. And now we know that is for sure. We see the proof. What's the proof? Joe Biden has been hanging out at Camp David, playing with his nieces, with his grandchildren. Kamala Harris has been doing the presidential stuff. Joe Biden has had her make the calls to foreign leaders. So Emmanuel Macron, the French president, who called her? Joe Biden? Nope. Kamala did it. Pierre Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, the Prime Minister of Canada, the bar bouncer / ballet dancer. Did Joe Biden call him? Nope. Kamala did. She is the president. She's running the show. She's taking the reins. He is there as a figurehead. And you will see in less than 2 years, when he quits after 2 years and a day, she's going to be the president. That's what's going on here. Behind the scenes, she's running things. That's our president. So, yay, America. Yay, America. Now, there is a video of Jen Psaki, Joe Biden's press secretary. She was asked about this and about Joe Biden's foreign policy at the White House. Check out what she said.
I can assure you that this president is not looking to the last presidency as the model for his foreign policy moving forward.
Well, of course, that's the understatement of the year. Of course, he's not looking to Donald Trump for his foreign policy. Under Donald Trump, we took the kick me sign that we had on America's back off, and the world feared and respected us. Now they're laughing at us. Iran is making those nuclear weapons again. They're getting that money. They have that money already because Joe Biden orchestrated it with Barack Obama. The world is laughing at us. These Paris Accords, which are just going to kill U.S. jobs, and these other countries aren't going to abide, China and India. So, of course, they're not going to do what the last president did, and America's worse off for it. Remember, things are not always as they seem. See you tomorrow.